Where is the most ridiculous place you've ever been asked to tip? You can call us 800-682-1075. There is one woman on TikTok who's saying that the tipping culture is out of control, and her most recent visit to Ben & Jerry's proves it.
So I go to Ben & Jerry's yesterday, and I just wanted a cone. Just wanted a nice, fresh, warm cone. So I walk over to the counter, and I was like, hi, can I just have a waffle cone? And she was like, yeah, sure. Here you go. That'll be $2. So I was like, okay. I go to put my card in, and of course, the tipping screen comes up. And I was like, I didn't say this out loud, but in my head, I was like, I'm not tipping you on a cone. You literally just handed me a cone. And I'm also like, the percentages were insane. I was like, I'm not tipping you $1 on a $2 cone that you just handed me. I'm not. So she hands me my cone. I put my card in. It gives me like, how much do you want to tip? I hit no tip. And the cashier goes to my face, to my actual face. Like, on no planet is that ever appropriate. Even if I got $100 worth of ice cream and I don't tip you, you can't to the customer. On top of that, Miss Girl, what were you expecting I tipped you to hand me a cone? There wasn't even a service being exchanged. It was an exchange. It was a transaction. It wasn't even an act of service.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well, I know, but I go back and forth on this, and I know it's getting out of control. At the same time, everything's more expensive for everything, and it can influence better service at times.
But she handed her a cone.
Yeah, you can say that too with like when you go pick up order and they hand you like Chinese food.
That is true. But no, she had to get the scoop, right? She had to get.
No, she did. She just got the cone. She didn't
I
get
see what
any
you're
ice
saying.
cream on it. You could, except
how does
for
that work?
it's being made in that restaurant. And I don't tip as much for pickup as I would if I went and sat down in the restaurant.
Yeah, that's true. She
So
went
I
in
do
and said, "Can I get a cone?"
Right,
Yeah,
can I have a cone?
Well,
And
right.
I
Yeah,
just,
no, it's a
mean,
weird to get a tip.
very weird. I had a very similar situation when I went to the it's the Toll House. Toll House in the mall. The cookies.
no.
They have
You
a
don't?
store, Toll House in the
Yeah.
mall.
I don't.
They do.
I avoid that type of food. But
Katie's also an expert at Four Seasons Mall. She's been one time in the last 10 years.
This was in Four Seasons. This was in when we went to Minnesota the last
Oh,
time.
Mall of
Yeah.
America.
So, yeah, in Mall of America, but they do have one, I think, at Four Seasons.
Yeah, they
I'm pretty
do.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
Toll House.
A
I think
Toll
that's
House
the food
store?
court,
Yeah, it's a store. I told y'all that when this happened to me because I was
I know
astounded.
we're getting sidetracked, but
I know,
mean,
it's true.
That sounds delicious.
And they serve they have the big cookies, and then you can get like the cookie cakes, and then you can also get little minis. And they give you this cup, and they fill the cookies with it. They put the minis into the cup, right?
That's right.
So my kids were walking around with me, and I stopped at the Toll House, and the cookies were already in the cup in this warmer drawer that's on display. I ordered the cookies. The lady comes from behind the counter, gets the thing and hands it to me, and then flips the computer over and asks how much I want to tip.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like,
You have
I'm
nothing?
not doing it.
I think it's part of that is if she had a part in making it or preparing it.
That's with everything, though.
I get it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
totally get it. But the problem is, first of all, we're different than other countries. Other countries don't tip. Like a lot of people complain about when foreigners come here, like how rude they are, but they don't know. And then in other countries, sometimes you leave a tip, they come chasing after you because they think you left the money. And they do, but they do pay more for their employees. Like restaurant employees and waiters and servers make per hour way more than the United States. We try to base it off of service and getting better service because technically we would say that, well, if you're getting $15, $20 an hour to be a server, you're not going out of your way necessarily to have the best possible service. But even back in the day when I was working at this club across the street, I remember behind, it was attached to like a pizza area too, and they had a tip jar out there, and we were probably one of the first ones to do that. And those pizza cooks that were there until 2 o'clock in the morning getting yelled at by belligerent drunk people, who we probably could not hire. We had to pay a fortune. They made extremely good money out of the tip. They depended on it, and they would walk with like $75 a piece. And back then, that was a lot of money in cash plus the minimum wage they were making.
Well, but any job, you can say with any job, like police officers have a hard job, they're not getting tips.
Right.
Construction workers, they're not getting tips. Firefighters, teachers, they're not getting tips, you know. Now, if it's a service industry where I still think they should just change the law on that. Like, the fact that waitresses and waiters are still getting whatever $2.13 an hour.
Well, there's a law. The law is that they can pay them that and they get tips, but ultimately at the end of the week, it's by law they have to average minimum wage,
Right.
which
But
is low.
Yeah. Well, and there's ways to work the system too, where you just like report your amount to make it look like you're earning the bare minimum when really maybe you're walking home with like $100 in cash or whatever. But
But the company's not.
the
forking it
company's
out.
not. And I also just think that the software that's being created on all of these machines where you're using your credit card, it is just asking you that question because it's built in. And then I feel like I get angry at these people when they have that's not their thing. They're not asking for the tip, but then I feel badly because I'm not doing it.
They
the
want
software,
that tip.
of course they do, but you can't help it if your software just naturally asks you.
Well, no, yeah, and then you're in situations where then like, do I tip? Like when somebody puts a thing of furniture together in your house,
Maybe,
but they'll say on the app, "Do not tip the people." And you're like, but do I? And then they get in trouble. And it's odd. All right, let's go to Carrie. Where's the weirdest place you've been asked to leave a tip?
Subway of all places.
Subway?
It's kind of getting out of control. Yeah, but it's like what Katie said. It's built into that system, the debit card system, and they're also asking, do you want to leave a tip? And you're stuck in that moment where, it's that quiet moment. Do I leave a tip? Do I not? If I don't, he's going to feel bad. But I'm a big 20% tipper, when we go out to restaurants and waiters and stuff. But this going to Subway and having to leave a tip that's getting a little out of hand.
Yeah, Chipotle's the same.
Yeah.
And speaking of that,
Salsaritas.
he said he's a 20% tipper, and that's a good tip. Have you noticed lately that the standard tip amounts have gone up?
To 25 or 30.
The last screen that I got was 20, 25, 30. There was no 15.
There's no 5.
You're
There's no-
right. It's not.
All right, let's go to Molly. Molly, tell us about an odd place where you were asked to leave a tip.
Good morning. I was in Florida on vacation, and my husband and I went down to the restaurant that was in the building, and it was a buffet. So she brought us some drinks. She didn't clear any plate. She brought us some drinks and sat it on the table, and that was it. So we went to leave, and I did throw a couple dollars on the table, and we paid, and we left. And she literally chased us out of the restaurant with the bill in her hand, telling us that we didn't tip enough. And I'm standing there. I'm shocked. And I asked to see the manager. Manager came out and started arguing with us, too.
Sounds
that's
like
bad.
a good business model.
It sounds like the waitress
bad.
at the Chinese buffet that I went to. Yeah. She's not happy.
And another thing that's happening, it's been a very hard time for the restaurant industry because of COVID, that they lost so many employees and employees aren't coming back. So they're struggling with employees. So now the business owners are caving a little bit because they know that if their workers and employees aren't making enough money, they have nobody. So they're not only are they forking more out per hour, they're trying to make them happy. But ultimately, it's backfiring on everything.
What an odd concept, try to make your employees happy.
Yeah.
So
Isn't
odd.
that weird?
Why would they do that?
I don't know. Where you want to
Stupid
stay
owners.
there. You want to.
Why would you want any of your employees to be happy? Jason, I get your point. Though.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Yeah, I went against you. It just sounded funny. Corey, where's the oddest place that you find yourself being asked to leave tips?
Like the first guy that came on and spoke, I've been asked to tip at Subway, and I've been asked to tip at Crumble Cookie. Previously, I worked for years in a very, very nice restaurant in Kernersville, North Carolina, right off 66.
Go ahead and say it.
So I know the.
What is it?
Go ahead and say it. There's only like 3 restaurants on that street.
Out west.
Out west,
I
yeah.
love that.
Okay.
That's probably the most popular
So,
restaurant.
I worked there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, the other one.
It's
60.
great. And I worked there. I worked there all through college, and so I know what the struggle's like being a server, trying to make money off your tips when you're only making $2.13 an hour. But I mean, for God's sakes, man, a cookie? You're going to ask me to tip you 20 cents or 20% on a cookie?
Well, 20% at Crumble is many dollars.
Yes, it is. For God's sakes, man.
I know. It's just
They do make it fresh right in front of you.
What are we talking
Crumble
about, though?
cookies. Love
What are
them.
we talking about?
But you're right. I mean, it's
Jason's comment about tipping because it's paying for them making this or that or whatever. In a restaurant, when you go to a restaurant, you don't tip to pay the guys that cooked your food. You're tipping the guy or girl that brought you the food in the first place.
Well, sometimes in certain locations, like you would, let's say you had a bartender that bartender sometimes is tipping out the bar back. Sometimes they're even tipping out the DJ. It just depends on the system. But yeah, typically, sometimes they're set up now more than ever that they throw even kitchen staff.
Yeah, we did that at Mellow Mushroom all the years that I worked. It was that a certain percentage went to the kitchen staff and then the bartender. And I mean, we were counting tips in front of everybody.
Sounds like socialism to me.
It was that's what you
they're
did.
not doing the job. Don't like it. I would not like to be the waiter all night and then be like, oh, and here's the tips I got.
Well, it's a percentage because what they're trying to. So the idea is if the cooks are on it and get it out and make you look good, that you're going to get a kickback too, right? So that's the whole point.
Everybody's working together.
They're working
But they don't make $2.13 an hour. They make
more,
but they're getting tipped out less.
They need to give you a percentage of their paycheck.
It wasn't a huge percentage, but it was enough.
And they would do that sometimes with a DJ because if the DJ really got the crowd going and kept the crowd there, then the wait staff would make more money in cases. But it's like there's two sides. I mean, other countries do it differently, but I think that's more like, that's more like the DMV in another country. It doesn't. Sorry, but they don't care. They already make their money. What do they care?
Yeah, there's probably less incentive to. I like the tipping system because there's an incentive to do it.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I do think that the struggling restaurants, that makes me want to be a better tipper because you notice when people are doing, they're working
100%.
harder. You notice it.
100%.
I mean, I was at the grocery store last night just to grab a couple things with my brother. We went out to dinner, and then afterwards grabbed a couple things. There was just about how everything's so expensive. I have not seen this. A 12-pack, I can't remember what it was, $9.99.
Yep. Yeah.
$9.99?
Yep.
$9.99.
Yep.
It's insane. It was like $2.50 3 years ago.
So when you buy those 2 liters, two
Yeah, I was looking for 2 liters.
Are they expensive too?
They're up.
You got to find a deal.
Yeah.
I will tell you.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and most of the deals now is like the buy 2 get 2 free or buy. But when you do the math, it's still double what it is.
Yeah,
I think right now I think the best kind of deal you can get is around $4.
Yeah.
And it used to be $2. Remember, I used to show you the
all the
ads?
time.
Oh, yeah.
We'd go out there all the time. Stacy, where's an odd place you've been asked to tip?
The oddest place was at a frozen yogurt place where I make my own frozen yogurt and put all the toppings on myself, and then I went to check out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same thing as the automatic in the system, but it's still kind of awkward when they flip over the thing asking for a tip when I did all of the work.
Right.
I like their style.
Yeah.
I know which one she's talking about too, because I also struggle. I'm like, you wait it.
I literally did everything, and it's not cheap.
Well,
It's
they're
not.
probably thinking, not to be on their side. I'm not.
It
Not
sounds like
necessarily.
it.
Well,
a
I
little
just see
bit.
both sides. No, I am agnostic.
You walk the line. We
It's
get
like
it.
Atheist.
Their job is also to make your experience the cleanest ever after each person goes through that thing because it gets very messy. So they're thinking that they're tipping for the service to make your experience better.
Also, as part of their job, is what they get paid for.
Exactly.
And sometimes that experience ain't better. So
Yeah.
there.
Then don't tip.
Yeah.
And
well,
sometimes I feel like I'm cleaning the machine. I mean, I'm not, but I'm like, I just need to wipe this off real
sometimes
quick.
it's real sticky when I sit down
Yeah.
and my feet stick to the floor.
You
Yeah,
want to
so-
know the place where
Give me a
I was
tip.
surprised that I couldn't tip?
Where?
Have you ever had that? That's a rare. Where you go in and you think, oh, I have to tip, and you can't tip? You should know this.
Where?
When I go into Lowe's Foods, they have that little
Oh,
bar area
yes.
there. And like on Sundays, I couldn't believe it. Katie, you got to.
Oh, I've been there many times.
Mimosas,
Yeah.
half price. And the mimosas are only $3, so you're paying $1.50 for mimosa? I'm like, oh my God.
And you can walk around and
yes,
shop.
$1.50.
I know.
And like, I was so happy. I'm like, where do I tip? We can't accept tips.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a bartender. That's the one thing. In that case, I would think that you would tip.
You would think so.
They won't allow
You
it.
would think so, yeah. The same as when people bring your groceries out, or
Yeah.
they offered to help carry. Especially, I definitely took them up on this when I had little kids and my hands were full and a diaper bag and the whole thing. Can we walk us out to your car? Yes, please. Won't accept a tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Won't do
starting
it.
to now, though.
Are they?
Some
some.
places.
Oh,
Yeah, because there's some like Walmart thing you can sign up for for the food delivery or just any of their stuff, and it has on there like tips. And I think before
see.
it wasn't
you
that
couldn't
way,
do it, yeah.
and that's why I'm canceling.
Well, it's more. It definitely would attract more employees to do it. I bet.
Yeah, Sarah, what do you want to say about tipping?
So I'm in the food and beverage industry. I've been in it for a long time. And those point of sale systems, whenever these businesses are setting them up, it is up to them if they want to set it up where tips can be left or not. So this is all these, frozen yogurts and Subway, all these places, they're choosing to let that be an option.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
Because
Yeah.
they don't want to look bad
makes
to their
sense.
employees. It's
And-
like, well,
yeah.
we left it up to the customer, not our fault.
Yeah. They didn't want to do it.
But they truly are struggling with employees. So like you just said, Jared, with the Walmart now accepting the tips, that probably helps them get and attract potential employees to do it because they're so desperate for the help, which is odd. But that if they're starting to make significant money, then it's an attraction.
Can I just say something
Sure.
about that? So I understand absolutely what you're saying, but so I do the Instacart thing, right? So it's $99 a year for the service. I really waffled back and forth about whether I wanted to do it because it makes my life a lot easier. But I did pay the $99. I would be way more inclined. I mean, and we do tip on that as well. You have to tip the Instacart because somebody picks up your order and they do shop for you. But if they made that service free and those people are choosing to drive and they go above and beyond, I would be more inclined to tip higher.
Yes.
Because I didn't pay the $99
But that's
for the. You know
That
what
makes
I mean?
sense.
But the company, what you're saying, it sounds right. But there's two things you don't. There's a
Okay.
little secret about that too.
What?
But the first thing is about Instacart. The company gets that money, right?
Right.
So the company wouldn't exist if you didn't pay their service to set up the operations, the software.
Or like I do it for Harris Teeter too. The $99 to be able to go and shop and have orders over $35 is free to pick up or what what they waive the fee. I do it for Harris Teeter as well.
Right, but
And-
Instacart couldn't exist if they didn't charge the fee. And it is, but here's something you don't know about Instacart, possibly, and maybe you do, but I was shocked. So you pay your $99, and that's probably part of the company. The company gets that,
Yeah.
right? Do you know that when you shop on Instacart, that
It's-
every product in the store is higher?
Yeah.
It looks the same.
I'm aware.
Oh,
You-
man.
If you go,
I'm aware.
If you go to Costco or whatever,
Which is what I use it the most for because I'm just like, God, I don't want to.
crazy.
Yeah.
The case of, which I thought could backfire on them because all of a sudden the store now seems more expensive. The case of water when you go in the store would be $4 per se, but on that it's $4.45.
Yeah.
But they don't say
They
anything.
don't say it's
So
more.
you're paying the Instacart fee, then you're paying the tipping fee, and then every single
item
product
you're
that
paying
you
more
buy
for.
is more.
And then we learned that the drivers, remember we were talking about this not so long ago, the drivers will prioritize your order and get it to you quicker because they already know what your tip is.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm like, dang it.
It should be See, that's why you should put like TBD. If you have that in there, like
You
to be
can't.
determined.
You have to like do
No,
it
I
all
know,
at one
I know.
time. I know.
I can
But we
see
are
that.
paying for the
Yeah.
convenience.
We absolutely are. So I that's why I don't like to complain about it because I know I could just go myself. But it's just I would be more inclined to go higher on that tip if I hadn't already bought into the service.
Yeah.
It's
You know?
everywhere you go. It's like
Yeah.
tipping everywhere you go.
Why tip someone for a job I'm capable of doing myself? I can deliver food. I can drive a taxi. I can and do cut my own hair. I did, however, tip my urologist.
Get it.
Dwight from The Office,
Got it.
the best.